Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. I am here in the studio with Father Brooks Keith. We are actually going to be chatting about 9/11 today, and really you were just mentioning off camera that the community really showed its true colors yesterday. So I'm excited to hear about that.
Molly, I've been really sick at home and still under the weather, but
yeah.
I was listening to all the memorials yesterday and all the speeches and just remembering 17 years ago being here.
I can't believe it was 17 years ago.
It's amazing. It was 17 years ago. Got a call. It was in the Homestead Court Club. We turned on the TV, watched the second plane hit the Twin Towers. Drove up to Vail. On 10 minutes' notice, we opened the Vail Chapel. Mm-hmm. By noon, there were almost 700 people.
Oh, that kind of gives me the chills.
We put it on the radio, TV, people pulled off, truckers were pulling off the interstate. It was an amazing experience.
Wow.
So literally within 2 hours, we had one of the largest services we've ever had.
I totally have the chills right now.
When I walked into the Vail Chapel that morning, a man was brought in by a bunch of his friends, an older gentleman, and he was totally beside himself. His son was a chef in the Twin Towers. And his son had been talking to his mother, the man's wife, and the phone cut off.
Oh,
and
no.
his buddies, they were on the golf course, brought him right into the chapel. And I said, let's pray that your son is alive. Do you know, when we started that service, he walked up to me out of this crowd of hundreds of people, and he said, that boy disobeyed his mother and ran for his life, was in a side building, not the main towers.
Oh,
and
goodness.
He knew that his son was alive. Oh. And he said, what do I do? And I said, you go to church every Sunday after this.
Yeah.
And he stayed and wept that entire service. It
was
unbelievable.
Wow. What a touching story.
Unbelievable. So that was Tuesday, just like this week, Tuesday.
Right.
On Sunday, our church worshiped at the Edwards Elementary School. We rented the auditorium, the basketball, the gym.
Oh my gosh.
Folding chairs and, elementary school, very basic. Do you know, that Sunday morning, I was driving up to the school to conduct worship, and there was a man in a blue blazer and khaki pants at the corner. I saw two other men with blue blazers, khaki pants, President and Mrs. Ford.
Oh.
Octogenarians, they're in their 80s. They had flown from the service at the National Cathedral on Friday, flown to Beaver Creek, out of all the churches they could have worshiped in the whole country.
They came to yours.
They came to the Edwards Elementary School auditorium.
Wow.
They sat in folding chairs. My daughter, who was about 4 years old, pulled her face over the chair to visit with Mrs. Ford that day. Everybody, no one will ever forget that they made the trip specifically just to be with us in our church.
How cool.
It was one of the most touching things I've ever seen. Do you know, we had the mountain bike championships, so the only place in the country. They grounded all the planes, so all the athletes are on the mountain. So we went up and led a service for them.
How cool.
It was such a beautiful, the community supported these athletes. The Vail Valley Foundation, the town of Vail, Vail Resorts. It was a beautiful thing to see.
Wow.
It's one of those moments when you appreciate the community that we live in.
Absolutely. Well, and all the good work that you and your church does for the
all of
valley.
our churches, all of our churches,
all of
the whole Vail Chapel, every single cleric, rabbi, priest, minister, we were all together for that service on short notice.
Wow, that is really amazing. Well, thank you so much for telling us about that, Father Brooks.
Well, I just had to remember sitting there yesterday thinking, it's sometimes this community gets to show us what it really has, and it was a beautiful thing. Beautiful in the midst of some very tragic circumstances, but just memories to share today.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. That is really special, and I don't know, I wasn't here on the show yesterday. I don't know if we had a chance to really touch on a lot of the 9/11 stuff, so I'm glad we were able to do it
Well, let's
today.
keep them all in our thoughts as families today.
Yes.
I think that's a great thing to do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Father Brooks.
All right,
good
Molly.
to chat with you.
Nice to be with you.
All right, thank you so much for being here, and we are going to check in with Eric for the latest weather update coming up.